recording. You are saving me a lot of effort when I forget, and then I have to do the recording all over again. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, what I would like you to do, and this is really, obviously, you're all adults now, you're old enough to vote. I can't force you to do things. I think you figured that out already. Okay? So you are the adult in the environment. You can choose to do what I tell you to do, or you can choose to think, well, you will do your own thing. That's your choice. Okay? I am advising you, please do what I tell you to do now. And that is, I ask you, please take out pen and paper now. Okay? Because I want you to look at this question paper in front of you and let's work through it as if you're seeing this question for the first time. In fact, I just want to know, how many of you have actually gone through this example already? Anyone? No one? Okay, so this is even better. It's like a surprise. Okay, seeing it for the first time. All right. And as I said, this is an example of a semester test question. Was it ever asked in a semester test? No. What it was done, what we did do with this question was we asked it in a previous lecture a few years back, and it was set up in such a way that we were busy setting up semester tests and exams, and we had a spare idea, and we took that spare idea and we wrote it as a problem. So this is for all intents and purposes, this would have been a proper semester test question. Okay, so let's actually see what that entails. Now, this has to do with a smarter energy application. And so typically what you will get is you will get a story. At the beginning, when you go through the question paper and you flip through the instructions that are on the front page, and then there might be another page of instructions on the second page because we want to be wordy and tell you all the things you can do and all the things you cannot do in a semester test, just to remind you, because apparently, not me personally, not Mr. Labia personally, but it has happened before where a student was caught cheating in the semester test. And when there was a disciplinary matter, the student then said, but you didn't say I couldn't cheat. Right. So we are trying to cover ourselves, and so there might be a second page where I know you're not going to read it, but then if you do cheat, then I can go, we had a second page, and you just chose not to read it. And that second page is going to tell you, you may not cheat, you may not do this, you may not do that, you may not look left, you may not look right, you may not bring a USB with you may not download code, etc., etc. Because apparently we have to tell you these things despite the fact that you know it's a semester test. All right. Okay. So then you get to the actual question. Now, the question that you have at the top will go question, and then there will be about 2 or 3 paragraphs. And those 2 or 3 paragraphs is where all the words are. You know, it's like a little story that tells you this is your client. They want you to do the following for them. And what is the following thing you must do for them? You are going to, in 3 hours, design, well, read through the question, make sure you understand the question, and come up with a design that satisfies what the client wants from you. And then you're going to write a visual basic application based on this design that will solve all this client's problems. Okay. So in 3 hours, you are expected to write a single computer program with a design that will address a number of issues that the client has. It will be the same problem, okay? So the client says, I need to have the following done, but this following thing that they need done involves performing a number of calculations. And so the idea is, There will be a story that gives you an idea of what exactly. Do you need to be an electrical engineer to understand the whole concept of smart energy? No. Why then do we provide you with these words in the beginning? Because you need to know what to name your variables. That's pretty much it, right? Every week when you do a practical, you do read the question, right? You read the story because what does that do for you? It informs you what you should name your variables. It informs you, oh, my variable should be named this and this. That's not to say everyone goes, whoa, everybody here will have the same variable names. That's not what it means. All it means is we go, there's going to be a variable used to store this kind of information. There's going to be a variable to store this kind of information. And when you give it a name, you give it an appropriate name. It also helps you to decide what to call the text for your form, right? Because if you leave it as form 1, you are going to lose a mark. You're going to lose a lovely percent just for not naming your form correctly. Remember, if your form is called form 1, no. If you change your form pink or some other color, no. I don't care. Keep it boring gray. There are better things to do other than, oh, my form is now nice, yellow. Okay. So, story. They go, winter is coming. No, really. And we don't mean the television show. The concerned citizens of South Africa are terribly concerned. You see how concerned they are. That load shedding will be back. This is very prophetic. You know, this was around when Game of Thrones was sexy. And we were talking about load shedding. And now we are back in load shedding again. And so they have approached you to design and develop a visual basic application that will help them see where power is being used excessively. Oh, by the way, in case you're wondering whether this is going to be a surprise or something, every single one of your semester tests / exams will have that sentence. That sentence being, develop a visual basic application. Why? Because we've had people develop in Java, in C++, in C#, and then complain to us and shout at us and say, you will pass us because your question does not say I have to do it in VB. And then we go, oh, do you know what the name of this module is? Has anyone checked? Nobody. Oh, you just take the module and you go, yeah, this, it's something. I check a module. It's called Informatics 1. What else do you want? Yeah, I'm getting code. IFM01A1. The name of this module has to do with algorithm development, right? But then at the end of the name, you'll notice in brackets, it says something, 2 letters. You want to guess what those 2 letters are? VB. So do you think these people have an argument? If my question paper doesn't say, but you know, we don't want to have that argument again. Just like we don't want to have an argument where the student says, oh, you didn't say I wasn't allowed to cheat. So we write things like you're not allowed to cheat, but we also tell you, by the way, this better be a VB application, just to cover ourselves. Okay? So what does this do for you? Oh, you know that the name of your form has to do something about electricity. Oh, you know your variables have to do something about electricity. The end. That's what this slide is going to do for you. All right. Nothing else. This, ladies and gentlemen, is your BFF while you're busy doing your design. All right? Yep, this is going to be your best friend. It is your lifesaver. It is like that little lifesaver that we throw out into the sea, and if you're drowning, this is the thing you hold on to for dear life. In your question paper, you're going to get a table. In fact, this table will feature as question A in your exam paper. Okay, so you're going to get this table. Why is this table so important? How many of you have noticed that while you're busy doing these practicals, if you don't work with the correct variables, or if you don't work with the correct data types, that has a serious implication on your overall program's correctness. Have you noticed that? Same problem here. Question A basically will ask you for 9%. You're like, only 9%? But it's an easy 9%. More or less. Okay, obviously I'm not going to go exactly 9, that's it. Okay? For about 9% of the question paper, you are asked to define 2 or more record structures. And I put in or more because I don't want people coming to me and go, you asked 3 record structures. How dare you? I can. In fact, the idea is you must be so good with working with record structures inside record structures that you could put in a record structure inside a record structure inside a record structure inside a record structure inside another record structure inside another record structure. But I won't do that because that is pointless. I just want to know, do you know how to do at least one inside another one? That's not to say you're only getting 2. Maybe it's 3. It definitely won't be 4 because by then I'll be bored. Okay? So it's between 2 and 3. Will you only get 1 record structure? Want to guess? Who thinks no? Some of you are really thinking, I'm going to be super nice. No. Can't be that nice. See, Informatics 100 only works with a single record structure. But remember, Informatics 100 is baby programmers. Accountants who aren't really serious about programming. You are serious about programming, so you must be better than the Informatics 100 people who are just accountants. So you must do record structure inside record structure. So at least 2. All right. So over here, you will see there is this table. Now, I want you to look at this table and tell me how many record structures do you see here? Take a guess. Now, some of you are like, okay, but what do you mean how many record structures are in here? Well, look at it this way. A record structure, what is a record structure? A record structure is effectively you creating a combination of different fields, right? So in other words, you say, oh, these fields, I would group them together to describe one type of entity. Okay? So I will create a record structure for this one type of entity. And there's a possibility that I'm going to create another different type of entity, and this different entity will also have a number of fields describing that entity. And 1 or 2 or more of those fields might be made up of another existing record structure I define. Does this make sense? Okay, so think of your student example. Okay, remember we said you are a student record structure. Each and every single one of you can be a student record structure. And you each have your own subjects, right? Your own modules. And you agree that the modules, each module can also have a bunch of fields that describe that module specifically. So we could define a module record structure, but do you all only take one module? No, you take multiple modules, right? So then let's say let's say you have 4 modules. Then I'll give you as a student record structure will have an array of 4 module record structures. Does that make sense? And you might have 5. And then I will say, okay, you have a module of an array of 5 module record structures. Okay, so I see the online people already go 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Do you all agree that this is 2 record structures? Okay, how do you know it's 2? What magic, or are you just that good? You're like, yeah, we're that good. Are you that good? No. Yes. Are you guessing? What makes you so sure it is 2? All right, online physical people, yes, go ahead.
One is the household and the other is the appliances.
Okay, all right. So let's look at this. So I see that M. Sabanda is really taking this very literally. And I'm not going to even, I am going to give M. Sabanda a big round of applause. So M. Sabanda says the bullet points define the appliance in a household. Yes, you'll laugh now, but yes, it is that easy. Okay, yeah. So if you take a look at this, the citizens of South Africa would like to maintain information on each of the following households. And a number of people have mentioned that there's one record structure for a household and another one for appliances. Can you see that? For those who haven't seen it before, you see it now. Besides the bullet points that M. Savannah pointed out. And you're like, hang on, am I going to get the bullet points in my semester test? See, she's like, no, we're all on our own. So let's take a look at this. They say, we want the following information on each of the following households. So you know that, oh, hang on, there's a number of fields that are being used to describe a household entity, right? Okay, how many pieces of information about a household? Well, we have the ID of a household. That means this is something that describes a household. So obviously, this is a field belonging to a household. There's also the surname of the owner. Obviously, the owner that lives in the household, right? Then it says for each appliance in the household. So you go, oh, hang on. So one household will have a number of appliances. Okay. So already you think, array. There's an array here inside this record structure. Do you see that? Okay. And is it an integer? Is it a string? Is it a double? No, it isn't. Because that's where the bullet points come in. The bullet points tell me that appliance cannot be described by a single data type on its own. It is made up of 3 different fields used to describe this appliance. Okay, and look at it. What are those 3? So there's power usage, and then there's an example. There's this column here on the right. This column is very useful to you because it gives you an idea of what type of data to use for that field. Right, so you see, power usage, 2, so it's an integer. Usage per week in hours, per week. And in case you didn't realize, they give you multiple values there. So what can you tell me about the second field for appliance? It's also going to be an array. It's an array of double. Okay, then the last one is the average kilowatts per hour usage. And then there it says calculated. In fact, the next 2 are also calculated. All right, but these next 2 are not part of the bullets. So in other words, they are not part of appliance. They are part of household. Does this make sense? Okay, so you've got your number of high-powered appliances, which is going to be calculated, and appliances that consumes the most power, again, calculated. Now, what I would like you all to do, because you've got paper in front of you, is I would like you to draw what this should look like in your designs. Okay, so in your designs, you would typically have your input, your output, your events and actions, you would have your user interface, you would have your test data, you would have your algorithm, etc., right? But there's one more thing you actually have to draw now or add to your design that's part of your, and what we call our UML diagrams. You're going to have to learn how to do this now already, because when you eventually get to third year, you spend the first 6 months of the year working on a group project where you're doing design documentation. So what does your UML class diagram actually look like? Now, it's not a class diagram as such because this is not a class. I know that some of you are going, well, isn't a record structure like a class? Yes, it is like a class. The difference is that UML class diagram, a class is actually like a form with your attributes, but it also has methods and functions. Have you noticed that when you define your record structures, there are no methods inside that record structure? It's merely data types, data types, data types. Okay, so that's the big difference. But you will learn about classes in the second semester. So how do you draw out your UML, well, your data structure? So effectively, you would have to do the following. Okay, I'm going to do a terrible job here, but you're going to find a rectangle and you're going to draw this rectangle. All right? And you draw one rectangle for every record structure that you are working with. So how many rectangles do you need here? 2. Okay, so you're going to draw a second one as well. All right? And after you're done with the rectangles, you would then draw a line to create a heading for your rectangles. All right? There we go. Ta-da! Right. Afterwards, you would then type in the top heading the name of your record structure. Okay, so remember, when you do a design, you're already coming up with the names of your variables and so on. So you might as well do the same with your record structure here. So you know that the one record structure is to do with appliance and the other one is to do with household. Now, my suggestion to you, ladies and gentlemen, is you need to start with your innermost record structure. Which one is your innermost record structure? Your appliance. Does this make sense? Because the appliance is inside the household. Why do I suggest that you do the innermost one first before you do the outer one? Because the outer one is made up of your inner one. So you start off with the unit that is everything else is made up of. Does this make sense? Okay, so there's a question, do we need to do it for tomorrow's design as we use a structure in the prep that is due tomorrow? So if Mr. Labier has not actually gone through record structures with you in terms of the design, then maybe you can have a stay of execution and do it next week. I don't know. I think it's best to ask Mr. Labier, but this isn't too difficult. You'll see why. Okay, so I'm going to put in there the name of my record structure, which is the first one, which is the appliance. So I'm going to call it appliance rec. All right. Now this is just me. This is personal preference. I prefer to put in the word rec somewhere in the record structure name, because then I can see, this is my record structure. Okay. You can do it differently. And the other one obviously is household. So I'm going to go household rec, right? Next, I'm going to go back to my appliance rec, and here I am going to list every single field that belongs in this record structure. Are you all doing the same thing? Because this is like good practice for you. All right. Okay. So how many items am I going to add in my appliance diagram? 3, because there are 3 fields. Does this make sense? Okay. Now, this is really, really important because I want to prepare you for the second semester. So don't put dots, don't put circular bullets. What you must do here is you must use a plus sign there to indicate that this is an item. So it's almost like a bullet point, but instead of having circles, you use a plus sign. Okay. I insist that you use a plus sign. This is not like, oh, please consider using a plus sign. This is me going, I insist. Okay, now why am I insisting? Because in the second semester, you're going to work with classes and then it's going to be this extended. The reason why you use plus and not anything else is because I'm going to ask you this. When you define your record structures, what do you type in front of the variable name? Public. Okay, use public. Public is denoted with a plus. That's why you use a plus. So over here, I'm going to go plus and I go power usage. Is power usage a variable? Is power usage an array or a single variable? It's a single variable. So I'm going to go colon and I go integer. All right, so you notice I'm indicating power usage. That's the name of the field that I'm going to have. I put a plus sign there to indicate it is public. And I put a colon there, and then I follow it with integer to indicate this is of type integer. The second thing I have is going to be another plus sign, and there it is usage per week. So I'm going to go usage, and then because this usage per week is an array, I am going to put in open bracket, close bracket before the colon, and then I'm going to put in double there because it's a double data type. Okay. Then my third and final item there is a plus sign where I go average usage, colon. Again, it's going to be a single variable because there's only one average. All right. And I'll make that a double. Okay. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is effectively, I think, very straightforward, very easy, how you would do your design for your record structure. Okay, and you will do the same for your household. So let me do that as well. Again, plus sign, ID, colon, integer. This is a single variable. The next one is surname, single variable, string. The next one is an array of appliances. Okay, so I'm going to put a plus sign there. Appliances, open bracket, close bracket to indicate that it is an array. Colon followed by, can anyone guess? What do I type here? I would type appliance rec. Does that make sense? Because that's the name of my record structure. Is everyone still following me? Are you all like going, yay, this is easy? Good. Obviously, you're going to still have to implement this. What does this? Oh, okay. Oopsie. Now I made it like I exited the typing. So now I can't change that to a single line. Okay, then afterwards I would have a plus, and then I go num HP, and that would be an integer because it is the number of high-powered appliances, and then appliance that consumes most power. So go most PH, which for me means most power hungry. And at this point, it says calculated, and I'm not really sure what the data type is. So what do I do here? Now, what you should ideally do is you should read the entire question before doing your design, of course. Of course. Okay, what do we always tell you? Go read the question first, right? Read the question first before starting the question. So I jumped the gun there. Bad. Read the question. If you had read the question, you would then know what data type it actually is. So I'm going to now take a gamble and say, well, the appliance that consumes the most power, maybe it is an integer. Maybe. So I'm going to go integer for now. Could be wrong, but I'm going to go with integer. Right. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you would do the design of, well, do the additional item in your design. Okay, so some of you are thinking, wow, this is new work, and it looks like it's a lot of effort. Is it really a lot of effort? No. So you're wondering, oh, how many marks am I going to get if I do this? So here's the answer. Your design is worth 5%, the whole thing. If it's missing anything, we start deducting. If you do a half-ass attempt at your design, we start deducting. So you know how sometimes you do a design and you just go, I'm going to add one whole item for input. I'm going to add one whole item for output. I'm going to add one whole button. I'm going to write for the algorithm the place result subroutine. And whoa, there's my calculation. Give me marks. And here we go, no. You know, the one thing that we really, really hate, and don't think we're not reading, is when we go through the design and you write the input. Input is values. Output, answers. No, really? Okay, so, all right. What does the abbreviation UML actually stand for? So UML stands for Unified Modeling Language, which is a lie. See, the fact unified modeling language means that everyone agrees that's how you do it. Nope, that's not really how it works. Microsoft says, this is our version of UML. And then IBM says, this is our version of UML. And so the UML we're showing you now is something relatively common. But if you go out into industry, don't tell your boss they are doing it wrong. Your boss pays your salary. Whatever your boss says goes. Okay. How do we do a 2D array? Yeah, yes. So OL Kubianas has it correct. And do we write the UML diagram before or after variables? It really doesn't matter. You know, as long as it's part of, I would personally do it before the variables because I define the data set, data structures, and then I list the variables that I want to do. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to our slides. We don't really have much time. Yeah, we don't have much time. We've got like 5 minutes, maybe. Yes. Okay, so let's do that. So other information. Your program, once you've defined your record structure and you know how to define variables of the record structures. By the way, we'll go through that next week, Monday. Oh no, not next week. Monday is a public holiday. Next week, Wednesday. Unless next week Wednesday is a Monday or something. Oh, so confusing. You're like, don't be happy, don't be happy. You should be stressed. It's like, that means less time for you guys. One thing I'm going to tell you right now is this. Despite the fact you are declaring two arrays, two record structures, right? You're defining two record structures. When you define your variables, you really only define one array of the outermost record structure. You do not define an array of appliances and an array of households. Because when you define an array of households, then while you're busy with the households array, you would then, for each household, define the appliances array. Okay. So in terms of global variables are concerned, you do not ever declare two different arrays, one for appliance, one for household. That's not how it works. That is one of the common mistakes people make. Okay, can we ask you to define a 2D array of households? Oh yes, that's entirely possible. But if you read the question that we've given you, is this a one-dimensional array or is it a two-dimensional array for household? It's one dimension, right? Because it says maintain information on each of the following households. So it's there are X number of households. So you need to create an array for so many households. Okay, how would you know that this is actually? If we go, please maintain information on each of the following households in each of the following suburbs. Oh yeah, then you see, oh look, two eaches, two different dimensions. Every suburb has a number of households. Okay, then you go right, suburbs, households. But I won't scare you now. Okay, please repeat that. Okay, so if this question had been, they want to maintain information on each of the following households in a number of suburbs or for a number of suburbs. Then you can see there's two dimensions. Right. Okay, so I think let's stop there for now. But what I would like you to do is please try on your own when you go home. Please take your UML class diagram and try and implement those two record structures. In other words, type out the code for the two record structures, define them, then try and declare the arrays, the variables for your record structures, okay? And then be brave. Try and initialize it. You know how to initialize arrays inside arrays. Take that same principle and try it. You might get it wrong. You might get it right. But try. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy your yet another public holiday on Monday. Okay, please repeat the global variables with two record structures and defining, and then we'll do that. Okay, thank you.